Rock, rock, we're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad rags on, join me home. We'll have some fun when the clock strikes one. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
Welcome to Hansten Healthcare's 2011 celebration of Nurse Week. We welcome you to this conversation that we'll have about the voices of the past and the promise of the future. So this Nurses Week is about nurses being trusted to care, because we are, by public poll, the most trusted profession in the United States. And I'm Ruth Hansten. I'm the principal consultant here at Hansten Healthcare PLLC in Port Ludlow, Washington. And we at Hansten Healthcare believe that we can learn from the legacy of the past, the wisdom of those nursing leaders who had the spirit and the skill and the will to lead us to better health care, and take those ideas, take the thoughts that they have offered us across the centuries to walk through the last 160 years from Florence Nightingale to relationship and results-oriented healthcare today, and see what we've learned from those that led us. So our care plan for you is this. We'd like to have a little bit of time for you to reflect on the impact that you make every day as a healer. For you to be able to really celebrate the impact that you make on the health of your communities. We are so proud to be able to work with you and to help you achieve the goals of those patients and families that you serve. We'd also like to be able to listen to the wisdom of the nursing leaders from the past to help us envision a future that now looks rather vague and frightening in the midst of healthcare reform here in the United States. There's much to be done. And we'd like you to be able to have some time to renew your commitment as a healer. So as we look at these two nurses, one from the past holding the hands of the nurse of the future, we'd like to look at some of the parallels of those early years of nursing in the late 1850s to early 1900s to the fateful decade from 1890 to 1900. And listen to their voices, because they were in the midst of not just healthcare reform, but putting together some kind of a healthcare system. There was certainly poverty and illness, just as we have to deal with today. In fact, some of those frightening illnesses, such as tuberculosis and measles, are back now, and we're dealing with them once again. Nurses took leadership then, as nurses must take leadership now. Their healthcare system was extremely complex, even though ours is complex in a different way, because we're dealing with all our new information systems and trying to make our medical records work and trying to deal with all of the high technology when they were really coping with how do we cure and heal in the midst of not even having antibiotics, not understanding, even just beginning to understand germ theory. Even then, they looked at the impact of our interventions on outcomes for patients and families. So let's look at what they learned that we can learn from as well. These are the things that we'll be listening to as we talk with and listen to the leaders from our past in nursing. So watch for these themes. We'll also ask you to begin to name some of the nursing leaders. And I know some of you graduated from your basic nursing education probably after I did, and in that case you may not have ever had a history of nursing course. And I think it's important for us to celebrate that rich past today as we celebrate Nurses Week. I'm sure you can all name this nursing leader. That's, of course, is Florence Nightingale. But we'll go through conversations with all of these folks from the past and see what they have to offer for us today. And really look at the care delivery model changes from early care to the present and to the relationship and results-oriented healthcare, or RROHC, program. Florence Nightingale gained her fame by bringing a group of nurses to the Crimean War and to Scutari, which is around the area of Istanbul, Turkey. And in 1856, she started out with her nurses and a group of wounded soldiers. Their normal mortality rate was about 50%. She brought their mortality rate from morbidity and mortality from 42% to 2%. It was an enormous victory for healthcare, for nursing, for healing. And she was able to do this by just looking at the basics: nutrition, hydration, moving the latrines away from where they were doing the surgeries, not reusing the same dressings from one individual to another. Basic hygiene, sanitation, those are the kinds of things. Fresh air, the healing environment, all of these things were measures that she brought to Scutari. And because she paid attention to statistics, and because she was able to really note the difference in what happened before and what happened after, so direct line, evidence-based practice, she was able to gain a lot of power in the British Empire. And because of this, she was able to establish the format for schools of nursing internationally. And as you remember, at that time, the British Empire was far-flung. And so Australia, India, all around the United Kingdom, into Europe, into the United States, learned about using the science, as it was at that time, and the art of nursing, and how to teach it. She connected those outcomes with the interventions, just as we are doing today, and as we do in the Relationship and Results-Oriented Healthcare program. She made sure that the science of nursing was a part of what was taught, so that nurses were not just the handmaids and the nurturers that they had been in the past, but actually became a profession. She wanted to help nurses to bring the bodies, the people, into the best opportunity for healing. She made sure that it wasn't just the body that was noted, but that there was that sense of presence, that she was able to look at the body, the mind, and the spirit of the individual that she worked with and served. She kept the statistics. Her nurses worked with 4,000 patients in 17 days, and as we struggle with staffing now, you can imagine how she was able to actually look at a care delivery model and said, you know, we don't want people just, the patients just be down the hall, but we want to put them in wards. So she developed some of those ideas for easier care for the nurses and easier observation. She is actually one of the first people that did charting, if you will, and medical record keeping. So she created that healing environment, the fresh air, the nutrition, the hydration, in order to help these individuals heal. So what I'd like to do now is to share with you an 1890s recording. And I'm going to step off screen for just a minute so I can help this to occur. And you will be hearing a very scratchy voice of Florence Nightingale in 1890. She says, "When I am no longer even a memory, just a name, I hope my voice may perpetuate that great work of my life. God bless my dear old comrades of Balaclava and bring them safely to the shore." Florence Nightingale. Florence Nightingale had some things to say about leadership that we can also take today and use. She, of course, my apologies to the males that are in our profession, because she would, of course, have referred to nurses as female. She must have an iron sense of truth. and right for herself and others, and a golden sense of love and charity for them. When a future sister or nurse leader unites the power of command with the power of thought and love, when she can raise herself and others above the commonplaces of a common self without disregarding any of our common feelings, when she can plan and effect any reforms wanted step by step, without trying to precipitate them into a single year or month, neither hastening nor delaying, that indeed is a sister. So many of us are change weary. We have so many changes occurring in our organizations on a daily basis, and there's a lot of urgency to create some good changes that will help for our patients, and we want to do them, but realizing that there must be step-by-step improvement, and that we are continuing on to plan and listen to how it is best implemented.